So let's explore a little bit what's involved in actually writing a fourth species counterpoint, because these are really a little trickier than some of the others. Among other things, it's such a restricted scenario that I often like to say, look for a good place for a climax. There's this trick of trying to find an imperfect consonance against the cantus firmus at a place, so if you're writing a lower counterpoint, at a place where it's gone down by step in contrary motion, just the way it eliminates all these kinds of potential issues. This doesn't, you can't just pick your climax point, because there's so many interacting features to this. So we often kind of have to discover what the possibilities are, or even fight for a climax where it doesn't seem to want to give us one. So we don't start with the climax. Because we've got so much at the end is always the place to start. Because here we're going to write a counterpoint above. Let's just, so a nice little cantus firmus by Kuenberger here, not one of the ones from our book. So 1, 5, 3, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice, all this stepwise motion, descending, just perfect for writing fourth species counterpoint. So we're writing above, so we know we're going to end with the octave. We know it comes from the leading tone. We know that the leading tone enters as the resolution of dissonant suspension. And we know that, therefore, it must have been prepared. So we can just write that down. That's our ending. We're certain about that. Now, as long as we've got this nice descent here, why not help ourselves, maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. Why not help ourselves to a few more 7/6s? It's a really nice way to go into an ending. Maybe that'll even be our climax. We can't have more than 3, so we'll have to get to this E in some other way. A nice kind of shape. So that da da da. It's a nice kind of melodic shape. We can't do this. It won't fit with the cantus firmus. It's crossing more spells kind of thing. But that's the kind of thing I might hope to do, not having paid a whole lot of attention to what's going on here. But I might just sketch that up and hope that that's going to work out. Now let's go to the beginning. We know we need to start with a rest. We know we need to start with either an octave or a fifth, either scale degree 1 or scale degree 5, tied over the bar line. Let's just look at these two possibilities. Okay. Now, if I choose scale degree 1, when the cantus firmus starts somewhat unusually with this huge leap, that's the octave. I'll put letters up here, numbers up here. That octave is going to turn into a fourth, which is one of my standard suspensions. It'll resolve down by step. That's a great way to start. Down here, my fifth is going to turn into a unison. So I'll have to leap somewhere else. I don't really like a consonant suspension. I really especially don't like a unison that's seen in. So I'm pretty confident. I mean, maybe I'm, if I were going to write several of these, I'd see what I can do there. Maybe there's something great that happens later on, and it's worth it to have that kind of weird start. But for now, the obvious solution is to choose the upper path and go there. Now, I might want to tie over that B, or all things being equal, it would be nice to tie over that B. What would happen? That would lead me to a fifth, and that would be a consonance. Which is fine, but that means that this is potentially a spot for breaking species. Certainly it's a spot to do something freely after this. Let's think about what that might be. Well, anytime you're in a position to make a leap, so you've broken species or you've had a consonant tie, you're free. You don't have the obligation of resolving your dissonance. You don't have dissonance here. You're not obligated to go down by step. You often want to go up, and especially what you want to do is as soon as possible, you want to set up a new dissonant suspension. So what would be a nice dissonant suspension to put right here? Well, probably either a 4-3 or a 7-6. Boy, that that 7-6 is kind of attractive to me. What would happen if I went there? Well, I'd tie it over. Oh, and look, I've already got the resolution. And at this point we say, uh-oh, because you're only allowed 3 in a row. Here's what this would sound like. So kind of mystery. Actually, sorry, there's one other thing I should have done. If I'd like that G as a dissonant suspension, I need to make sure that its preparation is a consonance with respect to the cantus firmus, because if it's not, I can't have it. Okay, that 7th is only an option if this is a consonance. Now, as it happens, that is a consonance. So that is a legal option, and in fact, I can just have that up. And it's deadly dull. Those voices are no longer independent. So that's not such a good option. Let's see what we might do instead. Well, then maybe we're looking at that 4-3. That, again, that's only an option if I can prepare it, okay? But that's a 7th. The D down to that E is a 7th, and the preparation must be a consonance. Therefore, that is not an option. So I can't have that dissonant suspension there. So maybe I need another consonance, but I just had a consonant tie. Am I going to have another consonance on this downbeat, another consonant tie here, and then I'm going to do something somehow to get to here, but that can't be a 7-6, so that'll be another consonance. I'm stuck with a long stretch with no dissonant suspensions, and I really don't like that. Furthermore, I start to be aware that if I've started here, and that's supposed to be my climax, look at how I'm boxed in by the cantus firmus. Let's just kind of sketch this in another color in the same clef. So whatever I do in this area, I have to stay above these notes, but I have to stay below that note because that's my climax. So, and I started here, so that means that I'm stuck in this incredibly narrow register of basically a third. So this is dead man's EKG melodic territory, okay? This is not what we want. So what this says to me then is, okay, I've got to bust out of this range of possibilities. There has to be something else I can do. And the most obvious thing to say is, well, this was just something I sketched in and said, oh, that would be a nice way to end. It looks like I can't have it. I really like that G up there. That seems like a great option, so let's put that back. This, by the way, this is just kind of sketched in there. Let me sort of make that dotted. There are a few possibilities for that note. We can decide about that later, because that would be because that would be just into a consonance. I might break species there, I don't know yet. But in any case, let's go for the 10th, setting up the 7-6. And then let's keep that. So I like chains of suspensions and of the same type. I just can't have that many in a row. So what that means is let's ride it for 3 cycles. Let's do it there. And then let's break here. This already, whoops, I need that. Sorry, I need that because that's the resolution of this dissonance. So this note needs to be there if that note is going to be there. This note has to be there because it's part of the ending formula. But if I just break species for a moment, this is a consonant. It doesn't have to be tied over. So at this point, I break species. I start into second species. I just have to write one other free half note, non-tied half note. So a consonance against the E, looks like the G would work pretty nicely. That also gives me more range to my melody. I've got a low point of a G. I've got a high point of a G, bigger than the range of a 6 I would have had otherwise. Here I have my option between the most obvious things. I could do a bunch of things here. The most obvious things are either to tie over the B or else to resolve up to the C. Resolve in scale degree terms, it's not a dissonance. I kind of like the B. I think I'm just going to keep that there. I might futz with it more, but I've gotten to something that's decent. Let's listen to it. Sorry, what did I do? What am I doing? Oh, I'm going down to a D there. Sorry. Once more. Okay, so that's thoroughly decent, respectable, legal, relatively pleasing fourth species counterpoint. The point is not this exact solution. The point is the process I went through. I didn't pick my climax first. The way I explored possibilities, tried to get as many ties, as many dissonances as I could, and worked with what's there, discover what's there through the process of working with it until you find something that has the kind of shape